Okay, intermediate algebra. Here is our first little refresh review after spring break, but now then we're just going to go ahead and go over 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3 again. If you've got on your My Math Lab, you'll see that them are on there as well. I just left them all open so y'all could have some practice using My Math Lab before you start doing your test on there. So, real quick refresher on these. This is our quotient rule. So we subtract, I lied. So this is our negative exponent rule because P and Q do not combine. So we're going to change these so we'd have P to the third, Q to the fifth. And now that they don't have negative exponents, that's all they want in their answer. This is our product rules. I'm going to write it on here. This is negative rule. This one's going to be our product. And we'd add 5 plus 5, so we'd have H5 plus 5 since it was the same base. So H to the 10th power. Use the product rule to simplify the expression. They told us product. Remember, when we have whole numbers, we actually multiply them, so negative 6 times 4, negative 24, x, and they have these out of order, pay attention, so x squared and x fifths, so 2 plus 5, no, I'll write it up here, x plus 5, then we don't have another y or a p, so we'll just put them over here, so p, 5, y, 4. A zero power rule, so anything raised to the 0 power is 1. Here's our quotient rule right here. So 15 subtract 6 would be 9. And I'll write over here. Subtract 6, top subtract bottom always, so 6. Here we have the quotient rule again. So I'd have x, 8 subtract 3, y, 4 subtract 4. And that's going to be 0, so that one's not going to be there. So we just have x to the 5th power. Use positive exponents, type an integer or a simplified fraction. So we'd have 1 over 5 squared, which would be 1 over 25. This would be x 6 subtract 8. So we'd have x to the negative 2, which would be 1 over x squared. This would be y negative 5 subtract 6. So y to the negative 11th, or 1 over y to the 11th, because they want us to use positive exponents. Simplify, use positive exponents for any variables. So our 3 is still going to be there, because there's nothing to do with 3. X negative 9 subtract negative 4 plus 5. There's a couple ways we could do this one. Negative 9 plus 4 would be negative 5 plus 5 would be 0, or we could have x negative 9 plus 5 and leave it x over the negative 4. And negative 9 plus 5 would be x to the negative 4 over x to the negative 4, and then we'd have x negative 4 subtract negative 4, which would be x to the 0 power. So it's going to be 1. So our only answer is actually going to be just that 3. And negative 5 times 5. And then 3 plus 6. 3 times 6. And then row Z, 2 plus 9. Okay, this would be 1, and the n would be 1. So I'd have 1 subtract 6, because 6 times 1 is 6. So this would be negative 5. Oh, y'all didn't see any of that. That's good. Alright, let's go ahead and finish this lesson, since these are reviews anyway. So 6 to the negative 1, so I'd have 1 over 6 plus and 5, so that would be 1 over 5 squared. So 1 6 plus 1 25th, and this would be where I'd tell you to use a calculator in the class, but we don't have that luxury right now. Download the one on TI. So let's see, 6 times 5 is 30, that's not gonna work. 6 times 25, 6 quarters is 150, so 6 over 150 plus, and then, no, it's not 6 over 150, it's 6 over 25. What is, so 25 plus, okay. Because 6 times 25 is 150, so these two are the same, and then these two are the same if we reduced them, and then 25 plus 6 would be 31, so 31 over 150. Joy. Use a calculator. Okay, so on this we have these, so I'd have x negative 6 subtract 2, and then y negative 4 subtract 6, so this would be y to the negative 8. X, I need to stop, and y to the negative 10, and since they're both negative, we're going to put them under 1. Lord have mercy. Okay. 6 to the negative 2 would be 1 over 6 squared. That's just y, so we're going to put that just y on top. So we have y over 6 squared is 36. Alright, I have 8 negative 5 subtract negative 3, and a 4 subtract negative 1. So 8 to the negative 2, a to the 5th, this one's negative, so we'd have a to the 5th over 8 squared, which is a to the 5th over 64. This one, it's the product rule, so we'd add it, so 6 plus 7a. This one's the quotient rule, so we would subtract top, subtract bottom. Alright, the following in scientific notation. So our decimal, there's only one number in front of the decimal always. So from here to here, there'd be 1, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots. So 1.431 times 10 to the 6th. There's only one number in front of the decimal, so we'd have 1.84 times 10. And since we go right, we go down, so negative 2. Approximate numbers, so decimal, I'm going to write it over here because I'm going to write it too big for that, 7.756 times 10, and 3, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so decimal, 1.6 times 10, small number, so negative 1, 2, 3. This one right in standard notation, so I'd have 4 and then I start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I can add in my zeros. That's 5.1.